Welcome to Geeks of the North, a hobby and gaming podcast of adult purveyance. We're here to paint some miniatures and talk about the hobby, so why don't you sit back, relax, grab a paintbrush, and enjoy the show. Welcome to Geeks of the North. As always, I'm your host, Paul Filio, here once again with the beloved Antoine Bergeron. How's it going, Antoine?
Going well, do you?
It's going okay. I can't complain. Well, I could complain, but no one would care.
Yep.
So, the second week in a row we're recording, man. This is like some sort of legendary crap going on here.
Yeah, never happened.
Nope, not in years. Not since like episode 2, probably.
Yeah.
So, did we get any feedback on the last episode?
Not really.
Excellent. Status quo.
One person mentioned that they would not check out the video because they are listening to the show while doing stuff. So streaming wouldn't be a plus. But that's it. That's the only comment we had.
That's better than no comments, I suppose.
Yes, for sure.
I'll take what I can get.
So you may still look into it, but if we base it on listener feedback, maybe not.
This confirms we have no listeners. Excellent.
We already knew that.
Oh, Steve listens. And maybe Yom occasionally.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. That's okay. Maybe he's finally gotten the hint. So... I'm just kidding. Obviously. Love you, Yom. You're super. Yeah, so what are you working on tonight?
I'm working on Skitaries.
Ooh.
Yeah, random Rangers, Vanguards, and the two Sicaran, the Rustalkers and the Infiltrators. I'm painting 2 of each to play Kill Team. Awesome.
Yeah, I keep looking at that, and I haven't drummed up enough motivation. I'd probably do... I've got so much stuff painted already for 40k that I haven't touched in years. I could just pull out Sishes of Battle or something, but I was thinking maybe I would do Primaris Marines. I have a bunch of those I bought to try to do a nice looking Marine army that wasn't the first thing I ever painted.
Yeah, I was thinking something else, but I already have a squad of Rangers painted, so I'm only building additional weapons and stuff like that, or alternate models to try it out. But if the game is fun, it will be a good time to paint my Gretchens and get the revolution started.
Oh, nice. Do you know, can you use multiple different factions? Or is it like your kill team has to be part of the same
same list, same book?
Okay. So you can't use like a Sister Superior with a Grey Knight something or other with a Space Marine. So, like you can't make a mixed team.
You could do that in open play. So if we don't mind, we say we do something and it's narrative for fun, no problem. But in the match play rules, it's a single source.
There's matched play rules for Kill Team.
Open, match, and narrative, same format as the others. And overall, it's match play is you build a squad for 100 points, and you play a game using a single list. That's about it.
Okay. Well, it's interesting because 40k, I thought everyone did the mixed list thing. I didn't think there was any other option.
Yeah, in 40k there is, but not in like match play in Kill Team is not multi-list, but match play in 40k
is right. Yeah, okay. I couldn't remember. I haven't read that 8th edition book since the week it came out.
Yeah, when we played our first playtest, and that's about it.
Yeah, for like 2 weeks we played a lot of 40k. And then we went back to not playing 40k.
But yeah.
And through no fault of 40k's, I would say. Like, we played it, we had fun, we moved on.
Yeah, it's too many games. That one didn't get to the top.
Well, I think it's also, like, we quickly found there was... It was fun, right? It's a fun... the basic book as it was at launch. Basic, very fun beer and pretzels game.
Mm-hmm.
But you hit really like obvious problems with the game pretty quickly. If you started spamming units or
oh yeah, for sure,
or being less creative. I mean, we play with Steve, right? So, I'm going to take tanks to block line of sight to other tanks, and I think his association with Chris Haynes was was showing there.
Yeah, but Steve is also a tournament player first.
Yeah, I know.
So we were talking about the same thing before recording for another game, and that's about the same thing here.
Yeah. Steve...
it's open to abuse, and...
Yep, no, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. So, that's what I'm working on right now. And you?
I'm not doing much right now. I painted like a demon the last few weeks, and so now I've lost my mojo. But it'll come back. Right now I'm gluing a sword on Veteran Cinder, who is a blacksmith player.
Mm-hmm.
She's the only player I currently own from the team. I ordered... well, actually, I could talk about this since it's a hobby show. So I want to try something a bit different with her. I don't really want to paint my blacksmiths in metallic paint. But I kind of suck at NMM.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some zenithal painting on her. And then I've ordered some acrylic ink in gray. And I'm going to mix that, for a base tone, I'm going to mix it with a little bit of blue and a little bit of, maybe a little bit of black to darken it up.
Mm-hmm.
And give it some blue undertones. And I'm going to paint her with that. Which, in theory, because it's translucent, should let the zenithal highlights show through as a lighter tone.
Yeah.
So I guess kind of similar to what sketch style is.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm going to see how that turns out, and then I'll just add some bright white highlights to the edge of the metal, and maybe go in with some inks, pure black or pure black and blue later, and add some shadows. All right, we'll see how it turns out. I thought about just doing the gray ink by itself, but I kind of want a bluish tone to the gray.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll have to play with it.
Then you just do a mix of blue and gray washes?
I could.
It's not recommend. I don't think it would look better that way. It just would be easier.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's any easier because the acrylic ink basically dries on impact like paint anyway, but it's translucent.
Yeah.
It's not like the candy coats would take 24 hours to set. Because I thought about doing with that at first. And it gives me the opportunity to play with the inks a little bit. Because I had fun doing doing my ghostly Blackheart.
Yes.
With inks and basically that style, and it worked out really quite well. So I wanted to give it a try. And I like the idea of like a dark blue gray, but I couldn't find an ink that color. And if I use a paint, I mean, I could thin it out to try to make it into a glaze and hope it didn't break down. But I've had very poor success at doing that, even with glaze medium. Now, if I look at one of my favorite colors from Privateer Press, Great Coat Gray, it's a very nice blue gray actually, but as soon as you start thinning it out, it starts separating, I found.
Mm-hmm.
So I end up with a blue and a gray as opposed to a mix. So that was no good.
It's a good way to do two tones miniatures.
Yeah. And I also looked at some of my old Vallejo paints I had. There's I think it's called Luftwaffe, which is a Vallejo model color, which is like a blue-gray. There's also German gray, which is a dark blue-gray. I looked at all those, and while they would all do it, then I'd have to build up highlights the old-fashioned way. And I kind of want to look for something that's efficient but looks nice. And I think the sketch style really lends itself well to the big kind of chunky, cartoony models that the blacksmiths are. And we'll have to see.
Have you already ordered your blacksmiths?
No.
Oh.
I just have the one model that I got. I'll do a test on her, and
Mm-hmm.
I might order one of the boxes because they're not very expensive, and there's a couple models there I really like.
Might as well get it.
But the thing is, their playstyle is also kind of similar to the team I'm already playing, so there's that too. I don't want it may be too late for this, but I don't want Guild Ball to turn into my next War Machine or 40k, where I turn around and have 11 armies.
Didn't we count up to 5 last time, and
yes.
You're already adding a 6?
Shush. Yeah, that's why I'm not really in a rush. But at least of the 5, 3 are painted.
Yes.
So take that.
Better than I can say.
And I ordered. I'm going to order some nice Micro Art Studio bases, I think, for the blacksmiths.
Mm-hmm.
The I think it's an Ancient Ruins is the name of the series.
Okay, you already know which style.
Yeah. Well, I was looking for something that kind of thematically fit, and Ancient Ruins is basically like stone or tile, maybe, I guess you could say.
Yeah, really worked, stone tile decorated.
Yeah. So it's not completely out of place. Most of their other styles don't seem to really fit. You know, I don't really use the desert. I don't want to use cobblestone. Cobblestone was the other one I considered, because blacksmiths are kind of an urban thing.
Mm-hmm.
At least, you know, they're not blacksmiths, right? They're armor smiths. They're not making horseshoes. So that's kind of a big city thing. You wouldn't necessarily find that out in the country, historically, because there wasn't really a lot of need for full plate armor in the boonies. But I don't know. I just cobblestones are kind of boring at this point. Like, there's 8 million cobblestone based models out there. I don't want to make the 8 million first. So we'll do kind of cobblestone-y, but with a variation. Also, the Micro Art Studios bases are really nice. And I can get them easily here, which I cannot do with Dragonforge or Secret Weapon, really.
That's a big point.
Not anymore, anyway. We used to have a store that carried Secret Weapon, but not really anymore. Yeah. The fate of all gaming stores. They go out of business. And shipping it to Canada just seems silly. I mean, I suppose I could ship it... I could order a bunch of bases and ship it to my US freight forwarder and pick them up en route to the New England Guild Ball team tournament. But I don't know.
It's more steps.
Yes. Yes, it is. I mean, there are some nice ones, Secret Weapon. The flagstone bases could be really cool. They do have some nice styles. The one thing I will say, though, is that and that's a big advantage, is that the Micro Art Studio ones I get at a very reduced price. So that's also a factor. You know, when you're spending $4 or $5 on 6 bases as opposed to $10 or $12, that adds up when you need, you know, a bunch of different sizes and stuff.
It's less bad for Guild Ball, but it's still there.
Yeah, Guild Ball at least, yeah. But, I mean, if you're paying $60 for your box of Guild Ball miniatures, and you're spending $30 or $40 on bases because you need a bunch of different sizes.
Oh yeah,
it doesn't matter that you only need 4 32mm, right? You got to buy them in that box of 6 for $15 or whatever.
Yes, you still need the old bucks.
So that makes a difference too, right? So yeah, so I've been kind of thinking about that. Also, I've been doing a bit of 3D design. I'm sorry for the keyboard sounds in the background. I can't remember what the password was. Oh well. Yeah. What was I saying? Yeah. So aside from that, I haven't really been doing much of anything. 3D design. Yeah, I've been working on. I designed a model tournament tray for Guild Ball, and I'm gonna try to rework it a little bit for an event that's coming up. They've asked me to provide a couple as prize support.
Oh.
Yeah. Zach asked me. The organizer asked me how much it would cost to get a couple for prize support. But I'm going to try to rework a little bit, because currently the tray holds 13 models, which is enough for Season 4 that's coming. Because traditionally your roster was 10 plus your goal, so 11, so you had a couple extra spaces. But now with the roster going to 12 and a goal of 13, you actually have 0 space, like 0 additional spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking...
Union and Mortician that have double players, it doesn't fit.
That have double players?
Well, Avarice and Greeds takes 2 slots.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in that case, yeah.
And the Brain Pen and Memory for Mortician.
That's true. I hadn't thought about Brain Pen and Memory. So, I don't know. I'm looking at the previous layout right now in my hands, and I don't think there's a way I can squeeze
another one
there, but I can try. I mean, the other thing is I'm a little bit wasteful in my layout because I like symmetry.
Yeah.
But maybe if I shuffle stuff and fill every gap with something, I mean, things won't line up. They'll be kind of a jumble, but I could maybe get 14 on there. Or I take out a 50 mil and make 2 30 mils.
How many 50 do you have right now, 2?
3. Because some teams need 3. Like rat catchers have 3.
3?
Yeah. Because of the mortician player, because of Bonesaw. But they have the goal.
Yeah, the goal, Bonesaw, and Scourge is 50.
I think so.
Okay. I thought he was 40.
I might be mistaken, but I think he's 50.
Oh, it makes sense. He's pretty big.
Yeah. Because that's originally why I designed it with 3, because our local rat catcher player, or one of the local rat catcher players, couldn't fit his team on it. So I changed the layout for him. So yeah, I do some printing. I already made some design changes, which were nice. Like I made the tray from a multi-part piece to a single part, without using too much more materials, which is nice. Anyway, it keeps me busy, keeps me out of trouble, and it's, learning a new skill is always good.
Keeps you out of trouble. Like you were running for that right now.
I have 2 kids, they also keep me out of trouble.
Yeah, I think that's enough already.
Yeah, well, fair enough. You win this round, Antoine.
Oh.
Okay, well, so what about what's that kind of thing? Games played. I played in the Guild Ball tournament. I can't really talk about that. We got a Guild Ball show coming up, so
yeah, it will be mentioned in the next.
I played Guild Ball. I didn't win the tournament.
You came close though.
Yeah. I didn't cheat well enough. I should have cheated better. And for painting, all I did was finish up the model I was working on last week, Snakeskin, and that's it. What have you been up to, good sir?
Well, I started the skitteries that I'm working on right now. The other thing I've done is I painted Meat Hook for my butchers. So I think I was painting her last show. Yeah. So she's done now. And it went far quicker than I thought it would. My other Guild Ball model took longer to paint. I think she might be a tad less well done, but it doesn't really show. And
I don't know, models, man. It doesn't show in those pictures I've seen.
And it's a play model anyway, so she's really high table quality. So that's good enough for me. So I think I might be able to finish my guild faster than I thought previously. It won't take me another 3 years.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good for 6 more models.
I have no comments, sir.
Yeah.
I cannot confirm nor deny that you take forever to paint.
But that's about it. I've been sketching for my scouting contest, but I cannot settle on the specific animal, so I'm pretty stuck. I did the armature, but I need the final animal to pose the arms and the legs. It's on a Facebook group, a Facebook scouting group, and the monthly theme is no feet on the ground. So I've decided to do one other of my stuffed animal, anthropomorphic animal, and this one I wanted to do a witch that was lifting up, so on a broom. So it's the how do you say the base of the broom? Is there a name for that? The bristles, yeah. The bristles are touching down, but not the feet. So that it's the challenge team. I need to decide which animal. So I've posted about that. Got a bunch of suggestions. So I need to trim it down to what works for the sculpting, for the visual I have in mind, and what I can do in the next week. Yeah. So I'm still working on that. I did some putty just to add around the armature, but I'm mostly still sketching. And that's about it. Only a week makes for a lot less hobby time chat.
Yeah, you talented people disgust me.
Ah.
Without
your fast painter people disgust me. Just saying.
Okay, well, fair enough.
Yeah, I have now 7 Guild Ball models painted. 9, 10 because I have a demo team for the old 3 players demo. But that's since the release of the game. And you have 3 full teams in a year less, maybe. So,
yeah, and one of those teams is quite well. Yeah, you're counting 3 teams because you broke my help me out here. What are they called? The Solthesians into
the Order and the Union.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
You
said 3 just before. I didn't say 3. You said 3.
Yeah. So. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. So I got what is that? 6, 7, 8, 24, 32. 35-ish models painted, 40 models, I don't know.
Just 1 or 2. Yeah.
Well, doing what I can.
Yeah, that's fine. And I've looked at my fishermen's. I have the starter fishermen's, and I ordered the navigator box, and I looked at the models I have already painted, and they are a drop compared to my butchers, so if I keep with that style for the navigators to go with them, I think they will go faster.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's hard finding that balance, right? Where you can be satisfied with the quality, but get a speed you find more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy, that's for sure.
The last couple of years, that's what I found is I've been able to go faster with my painting, downgrade the quality a bit, but I'm also just painting faster, I think, for a similar result with the experience.
Well, of course, like anything else, right? You get better at it,
and maybe less regarding. I know those models are for playing, and it's pretty clear right now that I don't really want to do competitions, so
that's it.
I don't need to push myself as much as I was trying before, so that's fine. Every piece doesn't have to be a test for how I can get my painting now.
What's the finished not perfect, I think is
the
catchphrase that everyone throws around online?
Yeah.
And there's something to be said for that. Yeah.
Yeah. My stuff is still probably a bit higher than just finished.
Oh, yes.
But compared to...
Everyone's standard is different, right?
Yeah, but compared to what I was trying to do before...
Yeah, exactly.
And especially...
Which was perfect, not finished? Yeah.
Yeah. I still have some models I want to push more, but those will be specific piece, and I will push myself only on those. Not on my gaming piece. That's why nothing is done.
Yeah, that's the fate of a lot of people, right? And I get it, right? You're trying, you want to do the best possible job you can, and I get all that.
If I was a single game player like Steve, and I could concentrate on only that, I think I could live with it. But every month, there's at least 3 or 4 new games I want to try.
Yeah, well, that's another problem we need to talk about there, buddy. That's
so I need to paint faster.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah, your gamer ADD is a problem for the rest of us, dude.
For the rest of us.
Well, you're kind of like the driving force in our gaming group. And, we're all on board and happy to support and play the game with you or whatever, but if you keep changing games every 2 weeks, it becomes a little tedious on the rest of us.
Well, it's good for you now. I can't play, so...
Yeah, I may stand a chance to catch up a little bit.
Yeah. My playing time is so limited that you're good.
Think of the children, Antoine.
That's why I'm not playing, so that's all I do. Think of the children.
I spend so much time painting models, Antoine, that my kids don't even know what I look like anymore.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm all like, but Antoine needs me.
Yeah. Your RNRX is all painted then, I think? That's what it is.
Sorry, what? You're breaking up. Sorry, I can't hear you. What did you say?
Yeah.
Something screw you? Yeah. Yeah. I caught myself that time. I was almost more colorful. But in the nick of time, I caught myself.
Speaking of that, that's probably what I'll paint next. Not RNRX, but I have an info of accessories for it, for terrain. Like, I want to do the arena, but I don't have... my airbrush is not exactly on good terms with me right now. But at least we have the mat. So I'll paint the accessories so we can play on the mat. The mat has the arena on it anyway. And eventually when I get back control of that thing, I'll work on the arena.
Your airbrush is controlling you?
It's not controlling me, but it's not letting me control it anyway. Either. Yeah. So, hobby tip of the episode. For people who have travel brushes, the one that separate into two parts with the cap.
Like the Games and Gears ones?
Yeah, like the Games and Gears ones. Don't mix paints while you still have the brush in your hand.
I don't understand.
Like shaking the pots.
Oh.
So
that's true. I remember.
I totally destroyed a brush like that last week when the part with the tip flew away.
Yeah,
and
flew away.
Crashed bristle first into the
concrete floor
and totally sprayed. So that one is dead, and I almost did it once again. So I stopped myself, shining... and it was it has a couple millimeters left before falling out. So
maybe not your shining moment there, Antoine.
I have ample of those not shiny moments. We've already touched about some of them on the show, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was amusing because I was on Hangouts with you or whatever when it happened.
Yes.
I was like, what the hell was that? You're like, my brush. Oh man, there must be an easier way to figure out maximum number of, circles you can get to a certain area with this many sizes.
Then do it by end.
Yeah, then try to sit there and eyeball it and okay, what if I try this? Okay, what if I try that? How many can I fit in now?
I hope so.
Well, I hope so too, but sadly I haven't found that way yet, so...
Mm-hmm. So you're stuck with doing it by end and trying.
I am stuck with doing it the old-fashioned way.
So, you played Gibal. I painted, but didn't have any games. So, sadly, nothing happened. I did, it's not a hobby per se, but I did visit one of our local stores. It has been open for some years now. Zakeda. Sports and games, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was my first time. It's on the South Shore, so it's a small...
It's a bit of a trek.
It's a trek for me, but I met with the owner to speak about events preparations and stuff, and different plannings for next year. And I visited the store, and it's a pretty small store, but wow, are they packed with variety and stuff. They have so much choice, all the different types of games, a really, really cool inventory. And the hobby parts is amazing too. I think they have 5 different lines of paint.
That must be hard to manage from a financial standpoint, right? Just because that's the biggest thing. 5 different lines of paints, but paint have a shelf life.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't turn over because you're not selling enough, it's just a big money sink, right? So that's a tough... Yeah. That's a tough thing to do, so that's impressive. Yeah,
that probably explained, one of the color I wanted for P3 wasn't there. But only one. There was more than one, so I was able to find almost everything I needed. But they had that, they had Vallejo. I'm pretty sure they had the game color and the model color. They had Game Workshop.
I know they also carry Army Painter, the full line.
Yeah, they had Army Painter too. So, and like grass stuff, like the Woodland Cynics, the big tubs.
Yeah.
Of flocking, they had at least 8 to 10 colors different. So a lot of hobby stuff too. So that was a pretty cool visit.
Yeah, I haven't checked them out. I keep meaning to, but because of where I live, it's just not so practical.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So that's the same reason why I hadn't visited them yet.
Yeah, because they're on the South Shore, and considering our current state of lack of roads to everywhere, it's a nightmare to get to the South Shore.
Yep.
But our government assures us that someday soon we'll have roads again.
Mm-hmm. That looks like election talks.
Yeah.
No politics.
No. Yeah, we get enough politics south of the border. We don't need to talk about our pathetic politics. Because it really is kind of pathetic. Oh, well. Anyway. So what else we got here? We've talked about some painting, some stuff. You have no games. I guess that'll take us to our topic, or one of our topics. Do we have a particular order we want to do this in, Antoine?
I can go with my items first, so it will
sure.
be done, and we'll do the more serious one after. So, as you have probably heard in the past, I do some sculpting, and I did a stuffed unicorn, kind of a cartoon stuffed unicorn, earlier this year. Casted it, I think, just before Adepticon. It was already around that time. You brought some at Adepticon to people who wanted some. You brought some as gift. And I also shipped around, I think overall it was around 50 that I casted and either sold or gave away.
Gave
away, yeah. One of the person who got one is Mr. Tom Enders from Impact Miniature. And he liked, I'm not in his head, so I don't know the order in which this happened, but he liked it enough. Maybe that's why he ordered it first, or when he had it in his end, or anyway, he asked me if he could license it to be sold at a smaller size on a print-on-demand way on his site with his other chibi stuff. Impacts are sending a bunch of resin 3D printed chibis, and they already have a bunch of unicorns, so it fit there. And he wanted the smaller size to be able to have it cheap and easy to sell. It's $4 on their site. So it took a while to happen, but it's now concrete. So if you go on Impact Miniature site, you can find one of my miniature for sale professionally and commercially. So that's my first commercially out minis. I sold some of my basement cast, but it's the first time I have a real product out by a real company.
That's very cool to say. I know someone who's got a line of miniatures.
You know a bunch of people who have lines of miniatures, Paul.
Well, yeah, but I'm not as close to any of them as I am with you.
Yeah,
I think that's a safe thing to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I got. He sent me a couple of samples. One to paint for his display pieces, so I painted that. That's true. I painted that I finished that in the past week. That small unicorn, and it's been shipped back to the US to him for he has a show coming, I think end of October or early November. But it was fun to paint. I think it's the second time I paint one of my own models.
That's pretty scary.
In all the time I've been sculpting, like conversions and stuff like that, I do paint. But my full sculpts that I've done myself, and that are not terrain or base, that's only the second one. Like the Zenyan has been, I think it was casted the first time in 2002. I still haven't painted one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive, I guess is the word I want to use, but it doesn't sound right.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is. But yeah, just doing the sculpting seems to be enough for me. I want to either paint or sculpt, not do both on the same model. But that one was fun to do. So
that's a strange. It's a strange outlook, buddy.
Yeah.
I'll either paint or sculpt the model, but I won't do both.
Well, now that I've painted one, I should do another one. Like it was partly a gift from my girl, so I should at least paint one for her. One of the big ones.
Well, you've done a couple things that were for her, I think. Wasn't the hippopotamus also kind of for her?
No, it was just I just like the team.
Well, who doesn't like ballerina hippopotamus?
Yeah. The pug was for my wife.
The pug unicorn?
Yeah, the puggicorn.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool themes in there, buddy. Like,
yeah. I just need to do one for my son now. Something you would like.
So, what do you think that's going to be? You have any ideas on that one?
I already shared one, but I don't see myself recasting that. But we've played some RPG sessions with friends, and he played kind of a scrap warjack shaped as R2-D2.
Oh yeah,
in the Iron Kingdom. So, and I draw that character. So I could sculpt that one, or try to do another anthropomorphic stuffed animal, but of his choice instead. I need to think about it.
Does he have a favorite animal you think he'd want to do as an anthropomorphic?
I change every week.
Well, he's how old now? 8?
8, yeah.
Makes sense. I'm 43 and don't know what I want from week to week. And we already know that you don't know what you want, because that's why you end up with all these different games.
I know what I want. I want to try new games. That's what I want.
Yeah. If I go bankrupt, we'll know why. It's all Antoine's fault. It's the games. The games. Oh, this is like a puzzle I can't solve, Antoine.
Well. Put that aside. Let's finish the show, and you can concentrate on it after.
Oh, no, I'm concentrating. I got little circles all over the place, and I'm trying to put all this.
Yeah, but that's it. I'll put a link in the show notes. But if you go to my page right now on Facebook, Les Oignons, or lesognon.net, on any of your favorite browser, you'll be able to see the painted version and get a link there too.
That's onion with a Z.
Yeah, a Zonion.
A Zonion, yes. For Anglophone people who don't know what the hell a Zonion is, don't feel bad. It's not anything. No. It's just a thing.
It was invented around the 2000s, and everything had a Z back then, so that's why. I really should have changed the name since.
Everything had a Z back then.
Yeah.
That's an interesting statement. I can't really argue with it, because it's not necessarily wrong. It's just an interesting statement. Everything had a Z.
But that covers my point.
So. Okay. So, we were trying to come up with some sort of like real topic to talk about this week, because we drifted all over last week, and let's face it, we drifted all over so far this week too. So, and we couldn't really come up with much of anything. And then I suggested maybe we could talk about the recast topic that has come up all over the interwebs in the miniature community.
Yes.
People, I can't say have suddenly decided that recasts are bad, because they've always said, people have always said recasts are bad. But there's been a few companies have kind of become more outspoken about it, and I don't mean GW, I mean like small indie companies, Scale 75.
Raul Garcia Torres, also something like that.
He was the one that had the dwarf, right?
Yep.
And
I think he had the first big post about it, and after that it went kind of viral in the community.
Yeah, and it's a big thing. I'm gonna get some numbers wrong here because I don't have the information in front of me, but he posted this really kind of gut-wrenching rant, I guess you could say, but not really a rant, but rant-like, about how, he lives off his sculpting, how he puts his heart and soul into it, and how he loves doing it, and he loves seeing what we do with his art, but then he turns around and he sees that one of his models is on a recaster site for a fraction of his price, but it's sold 5 times as many in that particular month as his had, as the original. And he just comments that it's not really fair, and that these people are making money off the backs of the artists who need to survive and feed families and pay for the sculpting time and the masters and the casting and everything. And then these guys turn around, steal his work, and then sell it for a fraction of the cost because they don't have any of his overhead.
Yeah, none of the development time.
Yeah, exactly. And let's face it, cost of living is lower, and there's a bunch of other considerations. And he's not wrong, right? It's not fair, it's not right, but it's a pretty big, I don't say moral quandary, because it's not really a quandary. Like, people who buy recasts know exactly what they're doing, right?
Yes.
And buying recasts is easy to justify a lot of the time. I won't lie, I've bought recasts before. Never of indie stuff, because that's not my style. I'd rather support the small artists. But I have bought recasts of certain big companies' models that I thought were overpriced, and their QC was bad enough that when the China recasts are better in terms of casting quality. And I justified it to myself, I won't lie. I mean, I would never pay full price for these models, so the manufacturer would never see that money from me anyway. So what difference does it make?
Mm-hmm.
And that's I'm not fooling myself, that's a very slippery slope, morally. But nonetheless, that was the logic I used. I'm just curious to see, what's going to come of this. Like, will it take a guy going down to really affect change? What are your thoughts, Antoine?
I don't see it really working.
Like, but do you think, if some of these small guys start closing up because the recasters are cutting too much into the business, do you think it'll affect it? Do you think anyone will care?
Nope.
I mean, as an industry, everyone, of course, gets on their high horse and they pretend to care. But
and that's it. Like, they are probably a fraction of the sales from those recasters.
Yeah.
Most of those sales are for big things like the Forge World and Game Workshop stuff that people want to play and buy so many because they're for army games. You need a bunch of them, you need a ton, you need to change your army often, and I'm pretty sure most of those sales are for those.
Yeah.
So the smaller indie guys, sure, it affects them, and it's incredibly bad and more morally awful. But I don't think that some of those indie sculptors going away will really have any impact.
And the people that will care about it are the ones that are already buying from them.
Yeah, the people who will care are already doing the right thing, probably. It's the people who don't mind and who don't care that will continue, and that won't change.
You know what this makes me think of? It makes me think of gaming stores, right? We all complain, that the gaming store is too expensive, so we buy models online. But then we complain the gaming store went out of business, we have no place to play anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yep.
It's the same problem, right?
Yep, totally similar. I see the analogy for sure.
And I just wonder what can be done. And I wonder, so obviously it's a price point thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
If an indie company is making a model and they're selling it for $20 and you can buy it for 10, right? And you want it, but you don't necessarily value that company, you buy it for 10.
Yeah.
Could that indie company sell it for 10 and make it up in volume, do you think?
Probably not.
But if you use that example, right?
I have a super tiny example, but the stuff I do at home, I home cast, and I don't have enough volume to buy the bigger
casting equipment.
Yeah, not even the equipment. Even if I add let's say a pressure chamber and stuff like that. Just the resin and the silicones, I buy in smaller tubs, but for the quantity per price, if I bought bigger package, I could drop my cost by almost 3. And most of those smaller casters probably have the same thing. They can probably cast bigger quantities, but they can get to the price where they have huge rebates for volume.
Yeah, and these casting houses in China that are, that's the thing I hadn't considered. It's the cost of materials, because they can hit crazy high break points, and they're probably closer to a point of origin.
Yep. And
they're probably using more toxic resins. Like, there's less health concerns because
absolutely
lower standards.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone who's ever bought a recast model from China knows what I'm talking about, because you open that package and the death seeps out of it at you. Because the resin stinks and it's nasty. Well, not everything I've ever seen, but a lot of it is, right? So I get that.
And that's just one part of it.
Yeah.
And you already mentioned like the price of living and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same. It costs more for people in North America so if they want to be able to live off it, I don't see. It's not like miniature artists are millionaires right now.
No, absolutely. there is one company that's making millions of dollars, and everyone else is scraping by.
Yeah,
that's absolutely true. And the boutique guys, I mean,
we see some of them close every month because they couldn't produce enough, or just dealing with all the retail part of it was too much.
Oh, it strangles them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look at Relics, right? Lovely little game, great little models, and just could never be viable as a business. And the amount of time it took for him to manage it made it completely not worth doing.
Yeah, and I've talked about it with Gavin since, and the business part of it was too much. Like, he liked making the game, he liked working on the designs and the ideas and everything, but having to deal with the inventory and shipping and quality control and quality service, clientele service.
Customer service.
Customer service. That became just too much.
And actually, he sold the TT Combat, right?
Yep.
Same as Dropzone.
Yes.
I think Dropzone Commander is also there.
Yeah.
And I think for the same reasons. I think David sold it because it was just the business management part was not his thing, right? He wanted to be able to focus more on the game and development or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And he's still working with them. So, but he's concentrating on the game and not on the business part. So, I don't see it as possible to lower and still be profitable.
Yeah.
Because,
especially since there's no, like, all these guys, they're not making a game piece, they're truly making an art piece, right? And say what we want, that is a much smaller portion of the miniature enthusiast community. Because there's, GW and the GW gamers, and then there's the War Machine and Hordes players, and there's like a ton of the other miniature games, and then there's the people who just buy to paint, right? Like, in terms of proportionally for number of people, the pure artist, is probably a fair ways down the list. Now, I'll just say I just don't know if there's a solution to the problem. You appeal to people and try to get them to see your point of view, but I think the only people you really reach are the ones that were already in your corner anyway.
Yeah, I don't think it's a lost cause. Like,
well, I think awareness is important.
Yeah, that what's done right now. Some sites have banners about it. I saw some memes or promo material about it. People sharing it. It's sharing consensusness and awareness. But sadly, I think that's the only thing that we can do, really. The other way would be to maybe, like, have a bigger consortium of independent artists share means of production to lower cost. But that needs an overhead somewhere, and that might cut any of the benefits of doing it.
Yeah, and you'd have to have people central, in the same areas, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of these, I mean, actually, a lot of these miniature companies are in Poland or whatever. There's a lot of European, European guys who are fairly close to each other, so it might be feasible there. But I'm just thinking of the North American guys and how it just doesn't work. It's depressing.
Yeah. But that's what it is.
And what gets me is it's one thing, and again, I'm not trying to justify it, and I'm not trying to whatever, but it's one thing when you look at a $1,500 Warlord Titan or whatever, how much it costs, that you can get for $600 as a recast. I understand that, good or bad, at least I understand it. But when I see recasts of things like secret weapon bases, where you're saving peanuts, you might be saving $3 on a pack of bases on a 40k army. You might save, I don't know, $50 or $60 on $2,000 worth of miniatures. Proportionally, it's ridiculously small. On anything in any other game, any skirmish game or whatever, you're hardly saving anything at all.
Yeah, for sure.
I just don't understand why people would
even bother
go for that. Yeah, well, aside from the fact that I know Justin, I wouldn't want to hurt his company, and I respect him a lot. It just doesn't make sense to me. There's not even enough delta to justify to yourself to buy what's likely to be an inferior product.
Mm-hmm. I must be honest, I don't think I've ever bought recast, and that's not out of interest. I've thought about it for some Forge World stuff, but I don't buy that much, and my hobby budget is usually pretty small that it doesn't matter, it doesn't work out anyway. Or I play so indie and smaller games that don't have anything available for recast anyway, so that cuts it out already. But it goes against what I'm for, being a miniature creator myself. But the only way I could see doing it is for dead stuff.
Oh, people who were doing it for Confrontation for years and stuff.
Yeah. Because
you couldn't get the models anywhere, old out of production GW stuff.
The game is dead. The owner of the license is not producing it anymore. Then, sure, I wouldn't mind doing it for that.
Yeah, no harm, no foul.
Yeah. Sure, I've seen people say that it devaluates the existing stuff, but I'm not a collectioner for the value part. I'm a collectioner for the having the piece. I don't care about its resale value or anything like that.
Yeah, and that's all subjective anyway, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking about Magic the Gathering cards or something
no.
that are worth thousands of dollars each. We're talking about miniatures.
Yeah.
And I know people were super upset about Confrontation miniatures for that reason, because of the resale value, which I thought was completely ridiculous.
Yeah, me too.
And in the end, didn't they actually relaunch the whole line or something, or did someone else launch it in the end? Was
they relaunched part of it, partially, multiple times. Right now, the old line is supposed to be reworked by.
There was a Kickstarter.
There was a big Kickstarter about it. I don't know where it's at, because you could only get into getting everything. The buy-in was something like $500. So.
Yeah, that wasn't Cadwallon that did that, right?
No, Cadwallon are one of the reasons Konami decided to not continue with it, because they were still recasting.
But are they? That's the weird thing, right? Is it there's a whole, and we're gonna go down
there's
a
a bunch loopholes there about who owns the mold and who
because
got
the molds were thrown away
or stuff like
that.
that.
It was something about molds were thrown away and people salvaged the molds and started casting.
Yeah,
and then it's how can you say I can't use the molds? You threw it away.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of got a point.
Yeah, but the IP has been sold, so in theory the mold should shouldn't be used because the IP is owned by somebody else. But if they're not producing, but are they not producing because there are recaster, or it's a huge gray area.
Well, the problem is, and I think the reason it's never gone to court and nothing's ever happened, because I don't think Cadwallon's in China or someplace impossible to prosecute. But I think
they're in Spain or something.
Yeah, but I really think the problem is that because the molds were discarded, how can you claim ownership? Depending on how the law looks at it, how do you even license something you've thrown away?
Mm-hmm.
How do you decide later on that you're going to license it instead? Like you threw it away, you relinquished ownership when you did that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that's probably the loophole they're going through, right?
That's possible.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny. There's models on here. Are they doing additional sculpting now?
Yeah, they've done.
Because there's models on here I don't recognize from
new piece, or some piece they have done based on the artwork, but that didn't have miniatures for them. Like
I'm just on the Cadwallon website looking at something. There's a Kina Sorceress of Ice that I've never seen this model before.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she existed in it.
No, but I know they have done new stuff, but even then some people have complained because those are based on the license, the IP
artwork. Yeah, no,
artwork.
for sure.
So
no, I understand that.
That by itself is a big can of worm.
Yeah. Actually, didn't someone get mad at us last time we mentioned this website?
Yep. Every time we've mentioned it.
Oh, okay. Was it Eric every time?
Yes.
Probably. Yeah, okay. Sorry, Eric, if you're still listening.
But we're not promoting them right now. It's not the same as saying they just released that and go buy it. Like we're just talking about the history. Right? It's not the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's recasting is a slippery slope.
Well, really, it really isn't. It's bad. But
yeah, no, sorry. I was talking about dealing with these sites like Cadwallon, for example, right?
Yeah,
that's a slippery slope because it's legal, not legal. Who knows?
And what information out there
is accurate?
Is accurate, yeah.
Who do you believe?
Yeah. How much of it do we really know? So, but even then,
it's a mess. It's a mess, I say.
Mm-hmm. So, listeners, what do you think about recasting? Let us know. Start a huge flame war on our comments.
Well, it is the internet. These things do happen. Yeah, let's see. What else do we have? How long have we been going? We've been going about an hour, haven't we?
Yep, we've went long. Do we want to skip the
No, we can talk about a couple of the things we thought were interesting this week.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
Sure. I'm just gonna a little addendum to something we talked about last week, which was the AMPSA miniature.
Yes.
The ninja bust. So we've seen some shots of the alternate face.
Well, there's an alternate head, but
which I think
the head is the same.
It's the same head, but there's like an Oni mask that's covering the mouth, which looks really cool.
Yes.
It's actually not what I expected at all. I assumed it would have some hooded ninja thing going on, but the hair flowing with the Oni mask, I think it adds a neat effect.
Yes.
Again, that model is available. It's $65 Canadian. And if you like doing busts, it is a gorgeous piece, so you should pick that up.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember the link.
But that's it's in the last episode. So
exactly.
I'll copy it again in the notes. We'll just add it in the notes to remember to add it.
I think is it? No, it's not that. Yeah.
But yeah.
I sort of it's the Alberta cool Miniature Painters Society of Alberta.
Yeah.
Best name ever.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, and let's see what you had in here. You
can skip. One other thing I want to talk about is Shadespire, the Warhammer Underworlds Shadespire. The new box, I think, has been out, or it's going out this week. Underworlds or whatever, the one with the new undead spirit, the spirit undeads.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care about that. I don't care about the undead or
Shadespire.
No, not Shadespire, but the other warband in it, like the Sigmarines. The
Stormcast.
The Stormcast Eternals. There's a new warband in it, more magic centered. I don't care about those. But, however, we've seen preview of the other warbands, artworks of the other warbands that are coming out with that set, and it's all the warbands I wanted. Really, there's one of night goblins. There's one of a kind of a troll with his mutant lackeys. There's one of the new sky dwarf, and there's one of forest spirits. So that's right there. 4 of those 6 warbands I would have gotten me into the game far more than anything that was out in the first batch. Like, I didn't care for the game when I tried it first, but those might be enough to get me to try it again.
You are so weak.
I told the exact same thing when I thought about the game. Like, I didn't get into the game enough, and the miniatures are not for me. So if they add goblins or dwarf, maybe? That's exactly what I said when we reviewed it last time when I talked about my game. So, and now they have them. They have the sky dwarves. They have the night goblins.
So weak.
I might look into it and try it again. Like, do you still have your box?
Somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, we have the materials for it. I don't need to buy anything. If you want to try it again, for sure. Or there's a...
Well, I've never tried it. Well, I know. I played it before it was released.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of players. So even if I just got one of the new warbands, and they're pretty affordable, if I remember correctly. So it's what, 5 or 6 minis, plus cars and stuff like that. Can't cost that much. So I might get either the goblins or the dwarf. And
yeah, the problem is if you want to build
fun in painting.
If you want to build decks and make them like decent, you have to buy other warbands to get the cards to.
But I don't care about that stuff enough. I would just play for fun with the base decks and stuff like that. I don't care about efficiency or card efficiency. I know it's more of a card game with miniatures than the reverse, but I'm pushing that out until we see the miniatures before doing a decision. Like, we've seen artwork. If the miniatures are cool enough, that might be enough for me to try it out. And sure, I'll lose my games. I won't have an effective decks, but then I won't mind because I would be pushing nice miniatures on the table by having my face beaten to death.
I understand.
Yeah. So I'll try to find a link toward the 4 new artworks and add it in the notes. But that was really cool. That got me interested in a game that I thought I had absolutely no interest in anymore. So.
Surprise!
Yay! Surprise to nobody.
Well, no one that knows you anyway.
Yeah.
Do you want to mention this little thing by Impact?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, you added it, but I can talk about it, I suppose. So Impact Miniatures has a Kickstarter running, with 10 days left to go. Wow, it's been a long time since I've had to say that line. And it's kind of a neat concept. So it's basically, over 100 miniatures that were rescued from other failed Kickstarter projects. So basically I'm assuming, he's licensed the designs, and he's basically selling the miniatures.
Yep.
Through a Kickstarter. It's a very cool idea. He was looking for, 500 US, and he's currently at 5,000 US, so it's fully funded. It's got a little over 100 backers. And like I said, there's a lot of neat stuff in here. I like some of the themes. There's some kind of weird fae stuff. There's some...
a bunch of anthropomorphic wizards. And
yeah, and there's like lizard men and cat people, and like stone golems. Just a bunch of weird stuff. There's a rhinoceros barbarian looking guy. How do you go wrong with a rhinoceros? Like, seriously.
And out of that set, if I remember correctly, those were for a game that didn't pan out in the end. They had, I remember seeing all the bad story around it on different Facebook groups. And the Kickstarter failed. I think they delivered only the rules, but not the miniatures or stuff like that. And I might be speaking, I'm speaking out of memory. I don't have the exact terms, but he has, if it works out, he has offered to sell the miniatures at cost to people, to backers of that project, so that they at least have an option to get them. Sure, they have to pay something again, but if they want, he's gonna produce them just for the production cost and have it as an offer.
Pay for it again. So you mean the Kickstarter was successful? Like it met its goal, but then the guy never produced.
Yeah, it was never completed. The shipping and everything. It sucks.
That sucks.
But it's.
I like the Technomancer hammer you can get for $89. It's a 6-inch high hammer.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Solid resin.
Why?
Why not?
Yeah,
Samurai elves, $17. You know, Japanese themed goblins, set of 5 for $13. Like, how do you go wrong? How do you go wrong? All kinds of weird, wacky, fun stuff. People should invest. So says Paul. Because I'm a great barometer of these things. There's an owl man, Antoine. An owl man.
Mm-hmm.
How did these Kickstarters ever fail? Anyway, all to say is a lot of cool stuff. I mean, and the pledge levels are easy. It's what you pledge, you put it towards a shopping list, essentially, and you buy models with that money. So, easy peasy. All right. Is there anything else we'd like to talk about, Antoine?
No, I think that covers it. We've talked long enough.
All right. So I guess I will see you next week, where we will blabber on again about random stuff that may or may not be relevant.
That's perfect.
Sounds like a plan. All right. I'll see you next week.
Bye, geeks.
Thanks for listening to Geeks of the North. If you want to contact us, you can email us at geeksofthenorth@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/geeksofthenorth, or follow us on Twitter at Geeks of the North. You can follow me, Paul, at PRFilio, Antoine at Eltonio Berg, Steve at B_Steve, and if you really feel the need, I guess you can follow Yom. He's at Yomasta. Breaks and outro music by Ladrave. You can listen to them at ladrave.bandcamp.com. See you next time, geeks.
Thank you for checking out a United Geeks Network family member. If you enjoyed it and are looking for other online media with a geek culture slant, head over to UnitedGeeksNetwork.com, where you will find Two Bald Geeks, a podcast by two bald horror movie fans that dissect one horror movie a month, saving the spoilers for last. The United Geeks Network. You can broadcast your geekiness at UnitedGeeksNetwork.com.